Ex-military man saves Canine German Shepherd trapped in a swamp. What the dog did next was shocking. He thought his days of battle and sacrifice were long behind him, but when former Marine Logan Almasi stumbled upon a whimpering German Shepherd canine sinking in the thick, unforgiving mud of a Florida swamp, his instincts kicked in like never before. What began as a spontaneous act of rescue quickly turned into something no one could have predicted, because what the dog did after being saved left Logan speechless, and it might just leave you in tears. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. This helps us bring you more emotional and powerful stories like this one, where courage and connection collide in the most unexpected ways. Stay with us. This story will not only surprise you, it will move you. Logan Almasi hadn't planned on stopping. The old dirt road he drove down was familiar, a shortcut through the Everglades he used to take during his reconnaissance days. These days, he preferred solitude. Retired from the military, divorced, and now living in a small cabin near Lake Okeechobee, he found peace in the silence of nature. It was the only place where the ghosts from Afghanistan didn't scream so loudly. But that morning, something was off. The sun had barely risen when Logan heard it. A sound that didn't belong in the quiet of dawn, sharp, strained, and desperate. At first, he thought it was a bird. Then he stopped the engine, rolled down his window, and listened again. A bark, faint, panicked. He grabbed his old field boots from the passenger seat and stepped out, his instincts kicking in like muscle memory. Following the sound, he trudged through the underbrush, weaving through sawgrass and slick moss, until his boots began to sink slightly in soft mud. Then he saw it. A German Shepherd, head barely above the surface of a boggy, brown-green swamp. The dog was stuck, one leg clearly injured, the rest of its body slowly being swallowed by the muck. Its eyes locked on Logan, wild with pain and fear. "Easy," Logan murmured, crouching down. The dog growled faintly, but didn't lunge. That's when Logan noticed it. The tag still hanging from the collar, half submerged in the mud. Canine Unit, Cairo. This wasn't just a dog. It was a trained K9, likely military or police, abandoned or lost. Logan's heart clenched. He took a few steps into the swamp. The water was colder than expected, the mud thick, grabbing at his legs like hands. Each step was a battle. As he inched closer, Cairo whimpered again, his front paw thrashing weakly. Logan gritted his teeth and kept moving. "I got you, buddy. I'm not gonna leave you here." The water was waist-high now. He reached the dog and wrapped one arm gently under its chest, the other gripping its hind legs. Cairo didn't fight. He just closed his eyes. With a grunt, Logan pulled him free. The suction of the mud fought back, but Logan pushed through. Step by agonizing step, he carried the dog back toward solid ground, stumbling, nearly falling, but never letting go. When they finally collapsed on the grass near his truck, Logan lay back, panting. Cairo whimpered again, curling toward him. The dog's entire body was trembling. From exhaustion, from pain, maybe even from fear. Logan touched his fur gently. "You're safe now." He wrapped the dog in an old emergency blanket and loaded him carefully into the back of the truck. As he drove toward the nearest vet, Logan kept glancing into the rearview mirror. Cairo never looked away. There was something haunting in his eyes, something that mirrored Logan's own, a look of someone who had seen too much. By the time they reached the small-town veterinary clinic, the sun was climbing fast, casting golden light on the scene. The vet techs rushed out with a stretcher, but Cairo refused to be moved by anyone except Logan. That's when it started, the first shock. As the vet approached with gloves and a sedative, Cairo growled. Loud, threatening. But when Logan bent down and whispered, "It's okay," the dog quieted instantly. The vet's eyebrows rose. He trusts you. That's rare, especially for a K9 this shaken. Logan didn't reply. He didn't have the words for what he felt at that moment. The bond had formed, something instinctual, like two soldiers recognizing the same battlefield in each other's eyes. But what happened next, in the quiet of the exam room, that would change everything. Cairo lay still on the cold metal exam table, his breathing shallow but steady. Logan sat nearby, arms crossed tightly over his chest, watching every movement the vet made. The dog's eyes followed Logan like a tether, as if the connection formed in the swamp hadn't just lingered, but deepened. Dr. Mallory, the town's only veterinarian, a calm woman in her early 40s with rolled-up sleeves and steady hands, gently examined the shepherd's frame. He's dehydrated, multiple lacerations on the legs, bruised ribs, but she trailed off, turning Cairo gently to inspect his side. Logan leaned in. "This," she said, her voice more tense now, "this isn't from the swamp." A jagged, older scar ran across Cairo's right flank, partially hidden beneath matted fur. It wasn't clean. It looked like a knife wound. There were more on his hind legs, thin and deliberate, too precise to be from nature. Dr. Mallory exhaled slowly. "These are man-made. Someone hurt him long before he ended up in that bog." Logan's jaw tightened. "Can you scan for a chip?" She nodded, already prepping the scanner. When it beeped, she turned the screen. "We've got a match, registered to a K9 military handler, Sergeant Travis Keene. But," she frowned deeper, scrolling, "this file is flagged, classified details. Cairo was declared missing in action 2 years ago." Logan blinked. 2 years? Dr. Mallory looked up. "That's not even the strangest part. According to this, Sergeant Keene died in a friendly fire incident 6 months before Cairo disappeared." A cold wave hit Logan's chest. So how did a supposedly MIA K9 show up, barely alive, in a Florida swamp? Mallory shook her head. "That's not for me to answer, but someone wanted this dog forgotten." Cairo whined softly, ears twitching as if sensing the tension. Logan reached out and scratched behind them. The shepherd leaned into his touch, a small gesture of trust that sent an unexpected warmth through Logan's chest. "I'm taking him," Logan said suddenly. Dr. Mallory looked up, surprised. "You want to adopt him?" "No. I mean, yes, but not like a pet. He saved himself out there. He deserves someone who understands what it's like to be tossed aside." Logan hesitated, eyes locked with Cairo's. "And maybe I need that too." She smiled gently. "I'll stabilize him, but he'll need rest, antibiotics, and time. You can take him home by tomorrow." Logan nodded, running a hand through his short dark hair. He didn't say it out loud, but he felt it deep in his bones. This wasn't just a rescue. It was the beginning of something much bigger. That night, Logan couldn't sleep. He sat on the porch of his small cabin, sipping lukewarm coffee, watching the stars through the trees. The silence that usually comforted him now felt charged, restless. Images from his time overseas flickered in his mind. The screams, the smoke, the nights he spent curled beside fallen brothers. And now, Cairo's eyes. The same haunted look, the same questions that never got answers. Logan got up, grabbed his laptop, and started digging. Using the handler's name and the K9's serial code, he accessed declassified records. Nothing unusual. Until he noticed something odd. Cairo had been part of a private contractor assignment, not just standard military deployment, funded by a defense company with ties to off-the-books missions. One name kept popping up: Falcon Strat Tech. Logan's brows furrowed. He knew that name. It was one of the same groups rumored to have loaned ex-military canines to black ops without proper oversight. Operations that often ended with things swept under the rug. Was Cairo a discarded asset? At that moment, his phone buzzed. A restricted number. He hesitated, then answered. A distorted voice came through. "You found him. Don't get involved, Logan. For your own sake." The line went dead. Logan stared into the dark, adrenaline spiking through him. Someone was watching. Someone who didn't want the dog found. And now they knew Logan was involved. Back at the clinic, Cairo lifted his head, restless, as if he too felt the air shift. Neither of them knew it yet. But the swamp was only the beginning. The sun crept lazily over the horizon, painting the world in gold as Logan pulled into the vet clinic's gravel parking lot. His boots crunched loudly against the ground, but the weight on his chest made every step feel heavier. Last night's call echoed in his head like a warning bell. Someone had eyes on him. Someone didn't want Cairo found. He pushed the door open. The bell above the entrance gave a sharp jingle, and Dr. Mallory's voice called from the back. "He's awake and much stronger today. Slept through the night, no complications." Logan followed her down the hall to the recovery room. When Cairo saw him, the shepherd stood slowly, wobbly on his feet, but eyes bright, tail low and wagging. "There's my guy," Logan muttered. Cairo moved forward, ignoring his sore legs, and pressed his head against Logan's hip. Logan crouched and rubbed behind his ears. "You remember me, huh?" Dr. Mallory watched the reunion silently, then spoke. "I didn't tell you last night, but we had a break-in after you left." Logan stiffened. "What?" Nothing was stolen, but the cage lock had been tampered with. Cairo's file too. Someone tried to access the chip reader history. I reviewed the security cameras. Whoever it was wore a mask, gloves. They knew what they were doing. Logan's stomach dropped. "They didn't want him dead," Mallory added. "They wanted him gone." He stood up slowly, his hand resting on Cairo's head. "Then we need to disappear before they try again." By mid-morning, Logan had Cairo settled into the cabin. He built a padded corner near the fireplace using old blankets and pillows. The dog limped cautiously around the living room, sniffing furniture and circling Logan like a shadow. His trust was growing, but so was the tension in the air. Logan turned his attention back to Falcon StratTech. He dug deeper through forums, ex-military channels, encrypted dark net threads. The same whispers returned. Dogs repurposed for experimental behavior studies, reprogramming trauma-trained canines into ultra-loyal operatives for privatized combat use. What had Cairo seen? By late afternoon, Logan stepped outside to gather firewood, Cairo at his side like a soldier on patrol. It had been years since Logan felt this. Not just purpose, but presence. But as he chopped in, a sharp pop rang out in the distance. He froze. Another crack. Not thunder. Gunshot. Logan grabbed Cairo and ducked behind the shed. His pulse pounded in his ears. His eyes scanned the woods. Silence. Then another sound. The low hum of a drone. He looked up. A black quadcopter hovered overhead, silent except for the high-pitched buzz. A tiny blinking red light focused down at them like an eye. Cairo growled. Logan didn't hesitate. He lifted the axe he'd been using, aimed with military precision, and threw. The drone veered just as the axe clipped one of its arms. It spiraled, hitting the edge of a tree branch before crashing somewhere behind the cabin. Cairo bolted toward the sound. Logan followed, reaching the wreckage moments later. The drone was smoking, one rotor still twitching. A small camera lens remained intact. Logan yanked the memory chip free, slipped it into his jacket, and crushed the device under his boot. Back inside, he transferred the footage to his laptop. The file showed aerial surveillance of Cairo, then of Logan, then zoomed in on his license plate. "This isn't just about the dog," he whispered. Cairo sat beside him, ears alert, eyes on the screen, like he understood every word. Logan turned to him. "They think we're easy to erase." Cairo didn't blink. Logan stared at the image frozen on screen, the red light, the zoom on his face, and clenched his fists. They're going to learn who they're messing with. That night, Logan loaded his old duffel bag with essentials: ammo, rations, a satellite phone. The next step wouldn't be defense. It would be offense. Cairo rested by the door, but didn't sleep. His eyes stayed open, watchful, as if he remembered what it felt like to be hunted. And now, for the first time, what it felt like to be protected. The storm hadn't come yet, but when it did, they'd be ready.
The next morning, Logan didn't wait for the sun to rise. He packed what he needed: MREs, field water filters, his old Beretta from the service days, and a first aid kit. Cairo followed every move with focused intensity, still limping slightly but stronger by the hour. Logan had trained with K9s overseas. He knew how quickly they adapted. Cairo wasn't just recovering. He was returning to form. "We're going dark," Logan muttered, clipping the sat phone to his belt. "They won't find us unless we want to be found." He left behind his phone, disabled the cabin's solar tracker, and pulled the SUV onto a long-forgotten trail that led deep into Big Cypress National Preserve, a place only seasoned locals or outlaws knew. The road was narrow and unmarked. Half of it was waterlogged. By mid-morning, they arrived at a rusted metal shack built into a rock face. An old ranger outpost from the 1970s that Logan had stumbled on during a solo survival challenge back in his 20s. Inside was dust, spiders, and silence. Perfect. Cairo padded through the space, nose twitching, tail low, but not afraid. He laid by the back wall, body angled toward the only door. Logan smiled. "Still got that K9 security drive." By midday, Logan pulled out the drone's data chip again. Something about it still felt wrong. He bypassed the corrupted files and found a second set of encrypted metadata: GPS markers. A pattern emerged. One of the markers blinked just 50 miles away. It wasn't random. Logan zoomed in. The coordinates led to an old agricultural testing station, now listed as vacant federal land. But the satellite image told another story. New fencing, 4 black SUVs parked in a row, and what looked like a training yard. "Training for what?" Logan muttered, glancing at Cairo. They had their lead. That night, under cover of dark, Logan loaded Cairo into the SUV again, his route slow and deliberate. He parked nearly 2 miles from the coordinates and proceeded on foot, Cairo trotting beside him like he'd never missed a day in the field. The moon was full, casting silver light over the brush. The facility came into view just past a dry creek bed. Logan pulled out his binoculars and adjusted focus. Spotlights, motion sensors, armed guards, definitely not abandoned. Then he saw it. The pen. Behind the main building, half hidden in shadows, was a kennel surrounded by electric wire. Inside it, 3 dogs paced nervously, all German shepherds. One limped, another had a shaved patch where an IV likely had been. More like Cairo, Logan whispered. Test subjects. Suddenly, Cairo's body tensed. His ears stood straight. He let out the faintest whine. What is it? Cairo stared forward, eyes locked on the kennel. He gave another soft sound, not alert, but recognition. Then Logan saw why. A 4th dog emerged from the shadows, older, smaller. Her fur was dusted with gray. She approached the fence slowly, and the second she came into view, Cairo took a step forward, ears back, tail trembling. Logan glanced down. You know her? Cairo didn't move, just kept staring, frozen. It wasn't just any dog. It was Cairo's partner. Her name, barely visible on her faded collar, read K9. Jada. Everything shifted. This wasn't a random facility. It wasn't just a dumping ground for dogs no one wanted. It was a controlled compound, and they'd taken K9s who were supposed to be retired, reunited, or gone. Logan pulled back behind the brush, breathing hard. He'd seen black ops run in foreign countries, but not like this. Not here. Back in the shelter of the trees, Logan turned to Cairo. They left her behind, didn't they? Cairo's body was rigid, eyes locked on the facility long after they turned away. They left all of you behind. And now they wanted Cairo silent, because Cairo remembered something that could bring this whole thing down. Logan's phone buzzed. The SAT line this time. Unknown number. He answered. No voice. Just a recorded message. Turn around. Walk away. Or the dog dies again. The line cut out. Logan looked at Cairo. They just made their second mistake. Logan sat in the shadows, Cairo pressed tightly to his side, both of them silent as the swamp wind whispered through the trees. The recording looped again in Logan's mind. Turn around. Walk away, or the dog dies again. The message wasn't just a threat. It was a warning laced with knowledge. Someone knew Cairo had already been killed once on paper, and now they wanted to bury him for real. But Logan had made his choice. He'd buried enough brothers. He wasn't burying this dog. Back in the shack, Logan unrolled his old tactical maps and flipped open a metal case he hadn't touched in 5 years. Inside were tools from another life. Wire cutters, smoke pellets, encrypted radio beacons. All registered to a man who no longer existed in the government's records. Cairo watched him like a shadow. I need you sharp, Logan said, kneeling. You up for this? Cairo didn't bark. He simply walked to the door, alert and waiting. Thought so. By dawn, Logan had the plan laid out. Infiltrate the facility under darkness. disable their perimeter tech, retrieve Jada, and expose whatever Falcon Strat tech was doing inside those walls. But there was one wild card: the memory. Something Cairo remembered. Something buried inside him, like a landmine. Logan wasn't sure when he started noticing it. Maybe it was the way Cairo flinched at certain sounds, or how he reacted when Logan pulled out a syringe to treat his leg. Tail tucked, body trembling, eyes full of old trauma. But it was when Cairo stood in front of the cracked mirror in the cabin and let out a long, trembling growl that Logan understood. The dog wasn't just remembering pain. He was remembering who caused it. That night, Logan and Cairo returned to the outskirts of the facility. Logan carried a makeshift EMP disruptor, not strong enough to wipe the grid, but enough to scramble cameras for 20 minutes. They moved like shadows through the outer fences, Logan disabling sensors with fluid precision. Cairo led the way to the kennels, ears forward, nose twitching with a precision only K9s carried. As they reached the back fence, Cairo froze. He crouched low and let out a single, sharp bark. Then Logan saw them. 2 men, dressed in black tactical gear, walking between the kennels and the generator unit. Not guards, handlers. Logan recognized the gait, the headset comms, the way they moved. These were professionals. Then one of them turned, and Cairo lunged forward, teeth bared. Logan grabbed his harness just in time, holding him back with every ounce of strength. The man Cairo was trying to reach. His badge read, Lieutenant R. Warren. Logan's blood ran cold. He remembered that name. Warren had been on a classified unit deployed in Kandahar, known for aggressive extraction methods. There were rumors about his treatment of dogs, none ever confirmed. Just silence. And then transfer. "You remember him?" Logan muttered to Cairo. The shepherd's growl grew deeper, guttural. He wasn't just angry. He wanted justice. As the men walked out of view, Logan clipped Cairo to the outer chain and whispered, "I'll bring her out. You just hold it together, all right?" Inside the kennel compound, Logan cut through the wire quietly and reached the cages. Jada stood slowly, her eyes cloudy but alert. The moment she saw Cairo outside the fence, she whimpered, a sound filled with years of abandonment. Logan reached for the latch, then stopped. His eyes caught something inside the corner of the pen, a small black box, blinking, a tracker. They weren't just keeping these dogs locked up. They were tagging them, and probably testing them. He disabled the tracker, opened the gate, and reached gently for Jada's collar. Time to come home. Suddenly, bang! A shot rang out, smashing into the wall inches from Logan's head. Lights burst on across the facility. An alarm screamed. Cairo barked furiously from the other side of the fence. Logan grabbed Jada's leash and ran. The whole place erupted in chaos. Shadows sprinted across the field. Orders were shouted. Searchlights swept the grass. As Logan leapt over the broken fence and Cairo met them halfway, something unbelievable happened. Cairo didn't run. He turned and charged, straight at the man emerging from the shadows with a rifle aimed at Logan's back. Cairo hit him full force, knocking him to the ground, teeth locked onto the arm holding the weapon. The gun fired once into the air, then clattered to the ground. Logan ran back and pulled Cairo off before he went further. The man groaned, dazed. And then Logan saw the face. It was Warren, bleeding, terrified, beaten by the dog he once tortured. Logan looked at Cairo. "You waited for this moment, didn't you?" Cairo didn't growl. He just stood beside Jada, proud and calm. He'd made his choice, too. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were coming back for everything. The SUV tore down the back roads, engine growling, tires spitting dust into the air. Inside, Logan kept one hand steady on the wheel and the other on Cairo's back. Jada lay curled in the rear seat, wrapped in a blanket. She trembled every few seconds, not from the cold, but from something deeper. Memories, pain, maybe even the shock of being rescued after so long. "We got you," Logan murmured. "Both of you." He hadn't slept. Adrenaline carried him now. They had escaped the facility, evaded the drones, and even gotten a lead on the location of the files. Proof that Falcon StratTech had been testing trauma-based obedience conditioning on retired canines. Dogs once seen as heroes, reduced to lab rats. The proof was locked in a drive Logan had grabbed from the security booth on their way out. A black encrypted stick, pulsing faint blue in his jacket pocket. It could expose everything. All he needed was someone to trust. By early morning, Logan reached the outskirts of a nearby rural town. He pulled behind an abandoned citrus warehouse to stay off-grid. He fed Cairo and Jada first, boiled chicken he'd packed in vacuum bags, then stepped outside to place a secure satellite call. There was only one person who might help: Sergeant Rachel Monroe. She was retired intelligence, a former analyst turned whistleblower who ran a private blog exposing unethical military contractors. Logan had met her once during his court-martial review. She'd spoken up on his behalf when no one else had. He dialed the encrypted number. It rang twice. Then, "Logan." He let out a shaky breath. "Rachel, I have something. Something you'll want to see." An hour later, she arrived in a gray Jeep, tinted windows, clean and cautious. Rachel Monroe stepped out, sharp eyes, military stance, and not a hint of makeup. "You look like hell," she said. Logan nodded. "Feels worse." Cairo walked slowly toward her, stopping 2 feet away. Rachel crouched. "And this is the famous K9 I've been reading about." Cairo sniffed her hand and then sat. "He trusts you," Logan said. "That's enough for me." They moved inside the warehouse. Logan pulled the drive from his jacket. plugged it into a weathered laptop, and opened the files. The videos showed it all. Dogs subjected to trauma loops, chemical restraint, simulated combat scenarios designed to override hesitation. Every file stamped with the Falcon StratTech logo. And then, the most damning one, a recording of Lieutenant Warren speaking to a superior. The reprogramming's effective, but the Cairo subject is resisting imprint. We may need to eliminate and restart with a cleaner slate. Rachel sat back, pale. This is government-backed torture. Logan nodded. I want it exposed. I can get it to the right people, she said. Congress, media. But you'll be in the spotlight. They'll come for you. I'm not hiding anymore, Logan said. I've done that too long. Rachel reached for the drive, but Cairo growled. Rachel froze. Logan? Logan narrowed his eyes. Cairo's body was tense, defensive. He stepped between Logan and Rachel, hackles up. Then Jada whined, and that's when Logan saw it. Rachel's hand, not trembling, too calm, too rehearsed. And there it was, barely visible beneath the sleeve of her coat. A Falcon StratTech ID badge clipped to her inner pocket. Logan's voice dropped. You're not here to help. Rachel sighed and slowly stood. They said you'd make it easy. Who are they? Let's not do this, she said. Just give me the drive, Logan. You don't want Cairo or that female to suffer again, do you? His face hardened. You're working with the same people who tortured them. I'm working with people who keep this country safe. Dogs are tools, Logan. You, of all people, should understand that. Cairo snarled. Rachel pulled a sleek pistol from her hip holster. Last chance. But she forgot one thing. Cairo didn't wait for orders anymore. He lunged. Rachel fired, the bullet grazing Logan's shoulder, but Cairo hit her full force, knocking the gun free. She screamed as the shepherd pinned her, teeth inches from her neck. Stand down, Logan called out, clutching his bleeding arm. Cairo obeyed instantly. Logan picked up the gun, kicked it aside, and stood over her. You were never a soldier, just a coward in a uniform. Rachel laughed bitterly. You think you've won? Falcon has eyes everywhere. You're not a hero. You're a broken man clinging to a broken dog. Logan didn't answer. Instead, he tied her wrists with cord, took the drive, and turned to the dogs. Come on, he said quietly. We've still got work to do. And as the sun began to rise, casting light through the warehouse cracks, Cairo walked beside him, not as a weapon, but as a survivor. 2 weeks later, Logan stood before a congressional hearing room packed with journalists, government officials, and cameras broadcasting live. At his side, Cairo, healed, alert, wearing his retired K9 badge around his neck. Jada sat quietly behind them, now safe in a foster program for senior K9s. Logan handed over the drive. One by one, the videos played. Gasps. Silence. Outrage. The truth spread like wildfire. Falcon Strat-Tech's illegal program was dismantled within days. Arrests were made. Lieutenant Warren disappeared, likely fleeing prosecution. Rachel Monroe's betrayal became public record. But the moment no one expected came at the end. As the chairman thanked Logan for his testimony, Cairo stood, walked to the podium, and placed his paw gently on Logan's boot. The cameras caught it. That single gesture, simple, loyal, silent, spoke louder than any words. It went viral. A dog betrayed by war chose love instead of hate. Logan leaned down, voice trembling. "You saved me too, buddy." And as the room rose in applause, Cairo lifted his head proudly. The hero they tried to erase had become a symbol of hope.